in Mober's ecosystem now, EV transition is really good, right? There are companies like Kia, Nestle, Unilever, multinational companies. They're really gearing towards transitioning to EV because they have a corporate mandate that they need to be net zero by 2030, 2040, 2050. The biggest challenge that I encounter now is like there's no commercial banks that will finance commercial EV. When we started Mober 2016, we were the first on-demand delivery app in the country. When I founded it, I was looking for any problem that I can solve. And during those time, I realized that SME has to buy their own trucks or delivery van because there were no any small logistic company where they can rent a van, right? So that's how I started Mober. Then as we grow, we realize that there's a problem with drivers. There's no second generation drivers. So meaning most of the first generation driver, they're able to bring their children to university. So they don't want to be a driver anymore. So what we did with Mober early 2018, if I'm not mistaken, we have this driverpreneur program wherein we finance our driver and they own the vans. Then eventually we call them a driverpreneur. It's a one-man logistic company, right? However, because there's so many competitors in the market now, we have competitors from the region coming to the Philippines and they're well funded. And again, when we talk about startup in the Philippines, during those time, funding was really scarce, right? I mean, no VC will be looking at the Philippines, right? So as a founder, we have to keep on looking on any that can make sure that you grow your business. During pandemic, we're quite lucky that IKEA Philippines awarded us a tender, a contract to start their delivery. They opened 2021 November. I was tasked to, if I'm challenged to give them EVs, right? So I was able to find 2 EVs that time. So that's where all we started. So after that, 2022 until now, we are refleeting our own all fleet, right? So currently we have around 40 EV vans and EV trucks, and we're bringing another 20 in the next 30 days. In Mober's ecosystem now, EV transition is really good, right? There are companies like Kia, Nestle, Unilever, multinational companies. They're really gearing towards transitioning to EV because they have a corporate mandate that they need to be net zero by 2030, 2040, 2050. The biggest challenge that I encounter now is like there's no commercial banks that will finance commercial EV. When I say commercial EV, that's a delivery truck EV, delivery van EV, right? Except for DBP and Land Bank of the Philippines, right? So we're talking to them now. We have an application with them. Hopefully we can have an approval by end of October. That's the biggest challenge that we encounter. When we talk to Filipino companies, right, the big companies, when we offer EV, they have this impression, EV kayo dapat mas mura. Because mas mura ang kuryente kaysa sa gasolina, kaysa sa diesel, right? So this is a misconception of most of the companies in the Philippines, right? As far as Mober is concerned, we're trying to make sure that the delivery fee is as neutral as the ICE. When we say ICE, that internal combustion engine, these are the diesel engine, right? So in Mober, we make sure that our delivery fee and rates is as close as the diesel one, right? I've been pitching to the company, say, if you can have as neutral as your diesel, right, and we don't increase your fee every time there's an increase in diesel or gasoline, right? Then you should be happy about it, right? At the same time, you also help the mother nature, right? Without the emission. Hopefully, they will realize, no, that sustainability has a cost also. It's zero emission and zero capex. When you say capex, it's zero capital expenditure. You don't buy expensive EV. Because the current EV now is still 2x from an ICE, right? If you buy a delivery van worth 800,000 pesos, an equivalent EV is 1.9 million. So that's expensive. If you buy a truck of 1.2, or even if you buy a Japanese Recon second-hand truck, right, costs you 1 million. For an EV, that's 2.6 million, right? So there's a big difference in acquisition cost. However, on the operation cost and the maintenance cost, it's very cheap. For last year, if I'm not mistaken, one of our EV, we only paid 3,000 pesos for our maintenance, right? So long term, operating an EV is very low, right? But for now, of course, there's an upfront cost, right? As far as the logistic EV or logistic green delivery is concerned, right? I don't feel much on the duties. We are thankful to the government that they have this VIDA law, that they scrap the 30% duties, right? However, most of our EVs are coming from China. And we have this AFTA that, you know, when you import something from China, we just pay 5%, right? So, parang yung 30% mo, 5% lang nawala, right? The biggest support that us in Mober is getting from the government sector, we're exempted from coding. So we can travel 7 days a week, right? That 1 day extra revenue for us is quite significant, right? I'm still lobbying with the government if they can also remove the truck ban, because most of our EVs are six-wheeler. The six-wheeler doesn't mean that the payload is heavy. It's just like designed as a six-wheeler. So, you know, we hope that the government will help us scrap that. And some LGUs, like even in the BGC, when you enter with a six-wheeler, you get charged. I think we get charged 600 pesos. We would understand if we go inside BGC using a diesel one, then we pay, right? But this one is an EV. Remember, the benefits that they should be getting is like, there's no noise pollution, there's no air pollution, right? And the payload of our EV is a lot lighter than a six-wheeler of a diesel. So I hope LGUs or this special operating units, right, can understand and help us exempt when we're using an EV. Yes, there's a lot of companies who's also asking to go EV, right? Mauuna ang logistic or commercial EV versus the personal. Because for the personal, then it's a chicken and egg play. Who will invest in EV before you sell the unit, right? So that's a chicken and egg. But if you go to China or even in the US or in the Europe, it's the government who started building the charging station, right? I hope that our government also has that mindset that they will fund the charger first before they encourage us Filipino to buy an EV. I think we're there. I mean, I think Thailand is a little bit faster than us. But we're there. I mean, with the support of the government, I'm sure we won't be left behind with this EV transition in the region, right? Even if you notice, even in Malaysia is an OPEC countries, right? The government is really pushing for them to go to EV, right? I'm hoping that the government can give us more concession, more exemption, right? I mean, if we can be given, I mean, for Mober, for the industry, truck industry, sana mawala yung truck ban sa amin so that we can still make more revenue, right? Just to catch from that very expensive capex. Right? On my personal capacity and my personal knowledge, like there's no enough supply chain probably in the Philippines to build that EV, right? If you notice, most of the Chinese companies, battery manufacturer, they're going to Thailand because I think Thailand has a supply chain for automotive industry now, right? But I think Ayala partnered with a U.S. company to build an EV motorcycle in the Philippines, right? I hope that will be the start of more manufacturer or manufacturing of EV here in the Philippines. Yeah.